This video will introduce you to the topic of private prisons and the two articles dealing with the subject. Private prisons have been in existence for a long time, but the debate we're proposing to you began in 1984 when the United States had again a private prison. Even today, most prisons are run by the government, federal, state, local. For this pro-con subject, you will be learning about the prison system and deciding whether you think private prisons are beneficial or should be abandoned. One important thing you need to do early on with any essay assigned is understand your topic. We recommend that you learn more about the prison system before you take a stand on whether we should have private prisons or not in the United States. Notice the photograph of inmates walking down a road in 1977. This is from a Time article about how private prisons came to be. You will learn about how prisons were run in the South and that privatization was tried back in the 1840s in Louisiana. It's clear from the article that the Louisiana prison was profitable, but there were some serious issues in how inmates were treated. As you read any article, decide what role profitability and cost play in the decision to have private prisons or not. Use whatever articles you find as a comparison to what you learn about today's private prisons. You'll be responsible for making sure to sort through what happened back then from what happens today. There are some things that were done to prisoners in the 1800s that would never be done to prisoners today. In addition, much of the articles might talk about leasing labor rather than running private prisons. As you learn more about your subject, ask yourself some key questions. What are at least three reasons for having private prisons? What is the prison population in the United States like? How big is it? What has been the percent of prisoners in private prisons since the 1980s to today? No matter what article you read, you will see the cost and profits are extremely important to this subject. So see what kind of profits private prisons are making, the companies that run them, and what kind of savings they're providing the government. I saw one article that showed that one private prison company increased profits by over 500% from 2000 to 2017. Pay attention to details about the articles. When were they written? For instance, our two pro-con articles were written in 2014 and 2012 respectively. Who published these articles? It's important to know the publisher and whether you recognize them or not. Are the articles merely reporting facts, or are they trying to convince you of something? I'll pause for a moment so that you can write down the CRAP test that we say is a good guideline for deciding if a source is good or not. Alright, so our first article we're going to present you is Private Prisons Are Beneficial. I bet you can tell right away what the author's stance is. If you can, print out the article and annotate it. Circle words you don't understand. Put comments next to things you agree or disagree with. Jot down a question for parts that are unclear. Remember, you can ask your instructor or even a classmate about anything in the article. Discussing the topic helps in developing a deeper understanding. Look at other things too. How old is this article? What does the article use to prove this stance to you? We have all kinds of evidence a writer can use, so list in the margins some of the evidence that was used in the article. Next, ask yourself how good of a job did they do convincing you of their stance? What did the article do well? What could the article have done better? The second article we're going to present you is The Private Prison System is Dysfunctional and Cruel. I bet you can tell the stance of this one too. For like Article 1, if you can print this article, do so. Take notes on it the same way I mentioned before. Write in the margins. Circle what you agree with and don't agree with. I know I'm repeating myself, but look at other things too. How old is the article? What does the article use to prove its stance to you? And remember, we have all kinds of evidence that writers can use, so, on a sheet of paper or in the margin, list some of that evidence. And next, ask yourself how good a job they did convincing you of their stance. What did the article do well? What could the article have done better? I doubt many of you know much about the prison system, so circle what is unfamiliar and look up what they are. Put a short note about it in the margin. If you see the abbreviation DOC, do you know what it means? Take a moment to think about it. DOC. Some of you will guess it, others won't, but look it up. DOC in this instance stands for Department of Corrections. There may be other terms in the article you read too. Look them up. Knowing them will improve your understanding. So with this, we have gone over what the topic is, how you should make notes in the margin, analyze the topic, and then you have to take your stance. Do you think private prisons should be kept, or do you think we should get rid of them?